Welcome home. Good afternoon and welcome home, everybody. Thank you all for being here today and for your continued dedication to our community. As your president, I'm pleased to welcome you to our monthly HOA1 board meeting. We have a lot on our agenda, and I'm confident we'll work through it efficiently and effectively. Our goal, as always, is to make decisions that benefit all 2,060 homes in our association, ensuring that our neighborhood remains a wonderful place to live. I encourage open, respectful discussion as we address each item. Let's stay focused on the community's best interests as we review today's agenda. Thank you again for all your time and commitment, and let's get started. I first want to introduce the 2024 board members. I would ask that we start at that end of the table.
John Taylor, Board Treasurer.
Kathleen Sartoris, Board Director.
Marty O'Shea, ex officio emeritus.
Tom Swakowski, Vice President.
Joe O'Connor, Director.
Steve Belarquist, Secretary.
Len Alcantara, Director.
Thank you. And now I would like to introduce our staff. Oh, yes, you catch me every time. We have another ex officio board member that is possibly one of our most important board members. We're all very important. This is Mike Odell, our ex officio board member and ALC chair, and he's sitting across from us, and we all owe a great debt to Mike. Now, we're going to introduce our staff, starting to Mike's right. Thank you.
John Reed, Director of Operations.
Jane Janet, Head Golf Professional.
Mike Ryan, Director of Golf and Grounds.
Mike Tribal Control.
Vivian Timian, General Manager.
Leslie Van Hoff, Executive Assistant.
And let's not forget Jason. Jason am I pronouncing this? Rasmussen. Close enough? I really do try. I had a teacher in grade school named Ms. Rasmussen, so I do get that confused. I'm trying my best. Okay. A message from your board president. Theft or vandalism of political signs is unacceptable and illegal. Such actions undermine the respectful and inclusive community we strive to maintain. Please be respectful of your neighbors. If you see something, say something. Please report any suspicious behavior to the Pinal County Sheriff and the Saddlebrook Patrol. Thank you for your cooperation in keeping our neighborhood safe, respectful, and welcoming for all. Okay, may I have a motion? The first item on our agenda is the minutes.
I move to approve the minutes of the August 29, 2024 regular board meeting.
Second.
Any objections? Approved. And with that, I'm going to turn it over to our General Manager, Vivian Timian.
Thank you, Joanne. This is Vivian. We've got a few things to report today of what the staff has been up to over the last several months, actually. The National Weather Service, just so that you're aware, they said that 2024 summer is the hottest on record, and it's tied with 2020, and the 33rd wettest summer as well. The daily average of 177 rounds with no full days lost in the month of August. Rounds were slightly down compared to 2023 August, still ahead of last year though year to date. So year to date we're doing better than last year. Annual golf fees are better than budget. Golf shop sales are below budget for the month, but the expenses if you take a look at the golf expenses, and Mike Triber's going to be going over these, we did get an early seed delivery, so there's a large expenditure for that, and additional herbicide purchases. But the positive impact is because of that 33rd wettest year so far, our water usage is down, as well as positive impact by labor costs. In addition, obviously we've shut down Saddlebrook courses, and they threw the seed out on Wednesday, began seeding the Saddlebrook area, and next week the Tucson area will come down, and the following week will be Catalina. The Superintendent's Revenge has actually already been done. It was done last week, and it was a very successful event. The Veterans Day Folds of Honor event is coming up, though, on the 11th of November, and so we're hoping ticket sales will begin the week after shutdown, which is scheduled for October 7th through the 13th. And then, of course, we have our annual member open house. So quite a few things going on in golf. They're keeping very busy and trying to get, and you'll have an opportunity to see the golfy presentation later on in the program here. For food and beverage, a lot of new things going on. We have a Homestyle Saturday night, and it's had a positive response. But probably the number one thing that we're going to be doing is changing our happy hour menu for the Roadrunner Grill right after we come back from shutdown. Currently, we offer a Caesar salad, wings, potato skins, and pizza. In addition to that, we're going to add a turkey parmesan sandwich, a corned beef Reuben, a Philly cheesesteak, of course the burger, and a shrimp cocktail. And we're hoping that this increases our attendance during those days, which are Sunday through Tuesday. And please come on down if you haven't had an opportunity to visit the Roadrunner Grill. I think you'll be very pleasantly surprised. And we also have a NFL ticket that we have purchased for the association. So that's going on as well, so you'll be able to pick up your favorite football game. And the biggest change is on Thursday, following shutdown. On 10/17, we are going to begin an Iron Chef Thursday. And each week will feature an entree created by a different chef on the team. We'll run a sales competition to identify the most popular meal, but we've been talking about it, and perhaps the best way to do it is send out comment cards, and maybe that's the best way to identify what the best by the comments on how they rate the meal for that evening. We're very excited about this. Our back of the house people are very excited because they get an opportunity to showcase their talents as well. So we're looking forward to this. So this will be every Thursday beginning on 10/17. From an operations administration standpoint, we are down on our year-to-date sales, 76 versus a budget of 84. Very slow sales in September. I think we had 5 of them. We actually sold 7 homes, but 2 of them were extra homes, so we didn't get the home resale fee. And Mike only counts the house if we get money for it. So a lot of closings coming up in October, though. So the real estate agents have been very, very busy, and they are out there beating the drum, and we are going to see quite a few closings in October. The office will be closed October 7th and 8th. Those are the first 2 days during shutdown, which is in a couple of weeks. The main reason is because the computers will be down. We're going to be updating our computer database, and we're taking the internet offline, and gives Rich Sandoval an opportunity to work on our systems. He was very frustrated last year we didn't take the computer systems down. He likes it when we take it down so he can do maintenance, and this is an important part of his job. So again, we'll be closed on Monday and Tuesday, October 7th and the 8th. I would like to re-invite, we've definitely been talking about it during the coffees and during the board meetings, but the Finance Committee has a hearing on Friday, October 4th, right here in the Activity Center. It's going to run from about 8 o'clock in the morning to 2. We start out with golf, and we go through each individual department. The department heads will have an opportunity to present their business plans and to present any new equipment they're looking at purchasing, and just basically an overall maintenance plan for their areas. So it starts with golf, then goes to patrol, then operations, then food and beverage, and then administration will be the final on the bill. But please, if you have some time, please stop by. I think you'll find it very educational. We spend a lot of your money here in the association, and we want to make certain that you understand exactly where all the money's going. On the CAM facility side of the world, the bocce ball railings and lighting, as well as the parking lot lighting, part of the parking lot lighting is painted. We have a few left to do, and they'll be out on Monday to finish it up. Total cost on that project was $22,000. That's an operational cost, so you won't see it in the major project listing. And I don't know if you folks have noticed, along the villa wall, we actually have 10 new trellises that are placed on that wall next to the clubhouse parking area. We are planning on bringing the plantings in, and that should be completed by mid-November to adhere to those trellises. The nice thing about these trellises is they can actually be opened and basically they're hinged from the bottom, so we can pull the plantings down and do any wall maintenance if we need to. So we're excited about that. This is a project that's been in the works from Properties and Roads. Debbie Muse and Susan Allen have been instrumental, along with Mario Cuolo. So hopefully that project will be finished in mid-November, along with some plantings of fence post cactus along that wall. So really ought to dress up the clubhouse area and make a huge difference. Underground review of drainage areas, part of it's scheduled for November, part of it in October. He has 3,000 square feet of drainage areas where he will be, and he being John Reed, will be inspecting throughout the organization. I guess I'm going to talk about road work. Ridgeview road work is to be completed in September 30th to October 5th. We're going to start with the area from Rolling Hills over to Spoon, and that'll take a couple of days, Monday and Tuesday, and then we'll move over to Ridgeview to Villa del Oro, and that'll take 3 days. And then on Saturday, we will come out and finish up all the striping and everything. So there is, we're getting closer to an end date on this. Flowers are going to be installed at the pool before the end of the month. They're the winter flowers. And painting of electrical boxes. Patrick's working. We worked very closely with Trico. They provided us with some paint. And he's looking at the painting of the electrical boxes around the community. He's trying to get the worst ones done first. They will be painted a tan color. He's soliciting bids right now from the painting contractors as well. So those are the operational costs and projects that are going on. And just to remind you, we are going to be closed the 7th through the 13th, and I wanted to give you a flavor for everything that's going on that week. We're not just closing the place and going on vacation. At least I am, but maybe John's not. Resurfacing the Vermilion Room floor is first on the list, so that we can get a nice clean floor. They'll resurface it and put down a polyurethane coating so that it will glide very nicely for all the dances that we plan on doing after shutdown. We're cleaning all the clubhouse windows, cleaning all the clubhouse tile and carpets. We're cleaning the main pool restroom tile. We're draining both main and lap pools during shutdowns so that we can refill them. The TDS values are a little bit high. And so then they'll bring back the water, and then they have to balance that water. They're going to restore the main pool deck, and by that I said they're taking care of any chips, and they're also painting the main pool deck. They're changing out the condenser pumps, which is huge. We won't have any cooling in the facility Monday through Thursday while they change out those condenser pumps that control our air handlers that run throughout the clubhouse. And there's more. We're going to be replacing the fan coil units above the library, and we're going to be updating, this is Rich, we're back to Rich's area, updating the software database. We're replacing the RRG evaporative coil in the walk-in cooler downstairs in the grill. This is one that really the board actually approved. It's coming out of operations, though they're going to cap the truss tails at the clubhouse and the fitness center, and this is to protect the wood on the end of the truss tails. He's hydrojetting all the drains in the clubhouse, and he's also going to do a deep clean of both the RRG, and actually this goes back to the kitchen staff. They're going to be on Monday and Tuesday, they're coming in. They'll deep clean both the RRG kitchen and the Vista kitchen. So it's really important that we have this shutdown. It gives the maintenance people an opportunity to really get in and do maintenance. It's hard to do while you're running a 7-day operation. So we thank everybody for their patience during this time. We're excited about shutdown. We've got a lot to do, and a lot of planning has gone into this. John's held regular meetings to go over everything, all the information that you see here, along with who's doing what and what day they're doing it and everything. So a lot of coordination involved. And that's all I have. So that means we can hear from Mike Triber, the controller, so he can go in a little bit more in depth to the financials.
Thank you, Vivian. So just a little update regarding the budget. So as Vivian mentioned, next Friday, October 4th, we will be having the open budget hearings in this room starting at 8 a.m. We are on schedule with the budget. We sent the business plans out 2 weeks ago. That's the first draft of the business plans. The first draft of the consolidated budget will go out tomorrow, and we'll be discussing those in detail at next week's meeting. So looking at the results for August. So as Vivian mentioned, yeah, we were short on home resales. We had 6 versus 10 and a half budgeted for the month. Year to date, we're at 76 versus 83. So we're behind on that. Oh, thanks. I guess I can do that. Looking at road spending, so we're $200,000 better year to date. So of course that's helping our bottom line. However, that's all timing. That $200,000 will go away by the end of the year, and in fact, we'll be over by $215,000 because we've already been approved by the board to do some additional spending on road work on Ridgeview Lane. General administration, we're $28,000 better than budget. That's being driven primarily by labor. In operations services, we're 167 better than budget year to date. That's being driven mainly by common area and facilities maintenance. And now if you look in the month, you'll see we're $7,633 worse than budget on that line. And that's also being driven by common area and facilities. I wanted to point that out because we do expect that number to come down by year end. We think that between common area and facilities, they'll be about break even to budget. So that 167 is going to diminish as the year goes on. In the amenities, and the areas that we're over, or the areas that we're running under right now, it's outside services, labor, and repairs and maintenance. And in the amenities, that $31,000 worse than budget is really being driven by the clubhouse. Property insurance and utilities is what's driving that. Bottom line, we're $12,000 better than budget in the month on net income, and $527 better year to date. As I mentioned, that $527 would be closer to $300,000 if it wasn't for the roads. Questions? Looking at golf, yeah, as Vivian mentioned, so we're just having a good year on annual fees, looking really good. In the month, on daily fees, we were $4,000 worse than budget, and that's being driven by the daily fees. The privilege rounds actually were better than budget by $6,000, where the dailies were worse by $10,000. And looking at golf shop net sales, okay, we continue to be better year to date. 43,000 better, and that was driven early in the year by success with events to a large extent and good weather. Golf course maintenance, we mentioned, so they're almost 58,000 worse than budget in the month, and that's really a timing issue. The biggest thing driving that was the purchase of seed, which came early. Still, they're $56,000 better year to date in their spending, and that's being driven by labor and utilities, utilities being golf course water primarily. Golf shop cost of sales, year to date, so they're worse than budget, but as a percentage of sales, they're at 63% versus 65% budgeted, so that's positive. Bottom line on golf net, so they were worse for the month, but still year to date, they're at $131,000 better than budget. Questions on golf? Looking at food and beverage, we've got a positive. They were about $3,000 better than budget in the month on gross sales, so that's good. Still, they're $35,000 worse than budget year to date, and that's primarily driven by food. Looking at the cost of sales, actually it's right on budget for the month and year to date at 34%, so that's a positive. Labor cost ran very high for the month at 74% of gross sales versus 66% budgeted. Year to date, still they're at 66% versus 67% budgeted, so that's positive. Other expenses, $59,000 worse than budget year to date. That's primarily driven by variable expenses, followed by computer software licenses, training, and entertainment. Bottom line, F&B was 24 worse than budget for the month. On net income, they're 45 worse than budget year to date. Questions? So bottom line, for the month, we were 55,000 worse on total net income, 613 better year to date. And again, I wanted to point out the road spending is impacting that a lot, but it was still $400,000 better is considerably better than budget going into the last quarter of the year. Looking at the cash, we're at $10.2 million in all funds at the end of August. And I wanted to point out again that at this point in time, the replacement reserve is 100% funded for the year. And looking at spending out of the replacement reserve for the month, so we made the final payment on the carpet for the main office. That was $16,787 versus the budget of $20,000. The banquettes, we finally made that payment. It's been sitting out there since the end of 2023, but that has been finalized, and so it was final at the end of August at $16,610. Came in at $82,000 overall. It was originally approved at $92,000 for all of the related work. And golf maintenance, finally we got the sprayers in and they are paid for. The first came in at $80,518 versus a budget of $87,500. And the second came in at $84,713. I think it has an additional component that the first one did not have, but still better than the budget of $87,500. Questions on replacement reserve spending? And there were no final projects in the capital improvement fund for August. Thank you. Oh, you or pass it down?
Pass it down to, let's start with,
We have one thing first before we get
okay.
Okay, we have a consent agenda item. Our unit representative chair, Laverne Kairos, has requested the board to approve Jennifer Williams as deputy rep in Unit 2 for the remainder of 2024. And that's a consent item, so that is approved. Now we'll go to where you were at.
Yeah, we'll swing it to Mike. Do you have the clicker? John does. Okay, then I guess John gets to start then. John Reed, I'll give you an update on projects.
Hello, everybody. It's John Reed here. The golf shop interior design, we did receive our schematic design from the interior designer, and it looks really good. And we are working on getting some of the moving parts for that, as far as the cost of the millworks, obviously the carpeting, and then the windows and window coverings and things like that there. Get a price list down for that, and take a good look at that drawing and see exactly where we need to, how we need to tackle that project on the cost and scheduling concept. The road work, as Vivian mentioned, is starting next week. Gavi's south entrance door is being replaced during the shutdown. To include the Vista sound system is also going to be completed during the shutdown. And the air handlers 13 and 14 will be completed during the shutdown. And the chiller condenser water pumps will be completed during the shutdown. The Creative Arts and Wellness project and wood shop is going very well. We got our schematic design and our site plan information from the architects and engineers, and sent off the site plan to Pinal County, and they have given us a scheduled date to review that site plan on the 22nd of October. And once we do that, and I'm sure you'll hear more about that later on today, I have another presentation with that, but it's going very well. The meetings with all the groups is going outstanding, and a lot of information. It's going very well. Of course, more woodwork and Ridgeview starting next week, or completing it next week. Vista carpet and tables will start on Monday morning. The whole Vista area carpet is being replaced. My team is coming in on Sunday to move all the furniture and get things prepped up for that, so they can replace all that carpet in there. The bocce ball courts renovation is complete. The guys just placed the new box for the balls today, and they still need to build the ball racks, but the courts and all the painting is complete. It looks really nice out there. The common area utility vehicle, do not have a good status on that. It's kind of on back order. It's a Toro piece of equipment and is waiting on some delivery dates from that. The Portico permanent lighting, holiday safety lighting up there is complete. Looks really good. We'll be using that during some holidays coming up here. You'll see the true effects of that here real soon. The fitness center women's showers renovation is also complete. I'm getting a lot of good reviews from the fitness goers on that project. And the truss tail caps is also going to be happening during the shutdown.
All right, the green ones. Lease, we're still waiting for 3 fairway mowers from Toro. The rest of the lease package is here and being utilized by Mike Phillips and his team. Bunker sand is ongoing. All the sand is on site. I don't know if you guys remember last year, we had a lot of challenges getting the sand here, so it's all here. He's hoping to have the majority of that work completed when the golf course is open from overseed. He's been working on it all summer. Top dressing is ongoing. It's one of the steps that they utilize during the overseed. So by the time the course is reopened, that big pile of sand behind Tucson number 8T should be essentially gone. And golf course improvements, the course in play areas work is done and being utilized, and the work on the nursery is going to extend into probably 2025. So that's the status of the golf course related projects.
Okay.
Just to talk about the administration area project is finished. We're looking at a useful life of at least 8 years on that. Turf sprayers, probably around 10 years on the turf sprayers. So.
Okay.
Anyhow, I'm pretty loud. So John, I had a question from, with regard to, we're replacing the carpet and the improvements in the agave in the clubhouse. What would be slated for, you know, because we've done some other things like put up the art and the painting and a lot has been done. What would be slated next for the clubhouse?
As far as renovations?
Yeah.
Well, right now we're focusing on the Community Arts and Wellness Center.
Sure.
And once we get that moving forward with a general contractor and get the permit submitted to the county and get a good plan on what the true cost of that's going to be. Right now we have some projected numbers, but until we get that done, then we can move on to the next project as far as where our funds are at. I believe that's the...
Okay, so we don't have any other even smaller projects planned as we're renewing, like some of the things that we're doing?
Oh, yes, we have a couple of tables and chairs in the South Agave. We are waiting for a vendor to provide a sample or some a visual of what some high-top chairs would look like. We got the tables priced out and everything to match the existing tables, 3 of those, and also we're going to get some higher stools to put around those tables in the South Agave as well. We've got the pricing of the chairs, but I'm just waiting for a good representation of what that chair looks like before we commit to purchasing those chairs.
Sure. Okay, yeah, that's the kind of thing I was talking about. And are those going to go, you know, we had discussed something possibly with the furniture, because I know the hostess stand is moving and all of that. Is there going to be different furniture?
Food and beverage really likes the opportunity to put the high tops in the back agave because basically they're at the same height as the windowsill, so it provides a great view of the mountains. So that's where those particular units are headed, I believe.
Yeah, I think that space up there where the couches and chairs is a flexible area. Right now we have the tables there, and we use that area as a need for when we did some work on the South Agave area, but that area can be converted back to what it was before or partially or whatever the case may be. It's kind of a moving target as far as what we utilize that space for at any given time. Whatever F&B wants to do with that space for whatever event they have, we can convert it over as needed.
Okay, thank you very much.
John, what is the planned timing of the golf shop renovation?
The golf shop renovation right now, we're still in the discovery stage of what the cost is. I would think probably next year is when we're actually going to execute that. We got to get some costs. We got a good estimate for the millwork, which is a good majority of it, but we still got to get a cost for the carpeting and the flooring concepts that we have in there. And the good thing about that is one of our carpet vendors is coming out next week, and I'm going to hit him up to make sure he comes out and gives me a cost estimate on that flooring from them. And as far as the windows and the window dressings, the lighting fixtures, I know the golf team is going to go down to a couple light vendors and look at some light fixtures that the designers have proposed or something similar to what they proposed to light up the area once we get it all renovated over.
How long would the golf shop be closed?
Until we get a solid plan, we won't be able to make that determination to make a schedule for that.
Thank you.
Do you have any meetings coming up with the design group still, or is this all?
No, right now we
done?
had one, a week ago, Mike? Yeah, about a week ago when they presented their conceptual design, and we liked it, and we kind of gave some input, but what they provided was really good. The drawings they provided, and I printed out some large copies for Mike to take down to different vendors to pick out some products and things. But as of right now, we don't have any plans to meet with them again from the interior design standpoint.
Okay, yeah, I wanted to know where that was. What budget would that come out of?
The golf budget.
The
Golf ops,
Yeah.
actually.
golf operations?
No, it's an RRF.
It's an RF.
When I talk about golf operations, it's actually, the RRF is split up. You have golf operations, and then you have golf course maintenance. So it'd be golf course operations in the RRF.
In the RF,
Yes.
okay.
And it is budgeted for next year.
Okay, thank you.
There is a couple of small items in there, not small, but separate items, like the windows would also be a separate RRF item, separate from the actual renovation itself. I think that's important to identify, that the windows would be a separate item for the RRF in that area.
Okay, I think we can move on.
It's me again, John Reed here. Creative Arts and Wellness Center, Architectural Engineering, Construction Documents. During step one, we asked our architect to give us a schematic conceptual design, which is complete, and that was to obtain a rendering and that schematic design and a cost estimate. We did get a cost estimate just for the construction piece, nothing else. And we also wanted to conduct meetings with all the different groups to gather information of their needs and their desires and this and that. And those went very well. We had several meetings with all the different groups and captured a lot of documentation from their meetings. And a lot of people were interested in that, and we got a lot of good information. Phase two of the wood shop, same thing. We got a good conceptual design of just the building itself. We didn't do anything with the parking lot or anything like that there yet, but we did meet with the group and got some good information from them. I just think that's going to be down the road a ways, but we got a good start on it though. This here's a representation of, I know it's pretty small, this is the parking lot conceptual of how the parking lot is going to be sized. This is a primary document that the Pinal County was looking for to see how we were going to redesign our parking lot to gain the additional parking spaces. And most of the parking spaces we're going to obtain are from the west side of the lot there over towards tennis, which is, I think, is an ideal process there. That way the tennis people can utilize those spaces, but we're adding I think it's 67 spaces to the area on this side of Saddlebrook Boulevard there in that parking lot. It's pretty good to be able to gain that many parking spaces. 67. That includes compact cars, golf cart, and everything is. This is a picture of the schematic design that we at this point agreed on is what it's going to look like. Of course, the potter's on the bottom right there. The bottom left is the dance and fitness area, and above that is the existing arts and crafts Farber art space. And then the one up top there is technical arts, patrol, gift shop, and the restrooms. This is not a representation of that, just kind of a rendering of how that's going to be laid out. Of course, another rendering of the building itself.
Is the open area still going to be open?
The center area there, yes. Yeah, it's going to be like a pergola type design that goes across.
So we're not closing it in?
Nope. Nope.
Will it be pergola, meaning there'll be light that can come in?
Yes. Yep. It will not be a solid roof where rain will come down onto the pavers in the courtyard there.
But it's still 6,000 to 7,000 feet that we're adding?
Yes. Yep. Yes, sir.
What'll be the separation between the new structure and the existing fitness center, John?
As of right now, we don't have an exact number on that. It's roughly about 10 or 15 feet.
Okay.
Yep. The A&E process and milestones, of course, phase one was step two is to gain construction documents and the cost, which is, you'll see, that's what this presentation is for, is to request those funds for the construction documents and, of course, obtain the parking variance from the county. Right now, they're referring to it as a site plan variant or site plan review. And if that goes well, then we'll go on forward to the next step that they recommend. And then, of course, once we get that completed with the county, we'll have a town hall with the entire HOA to kind of review what we've come up with. And then the monies we're going to request today is very contingent upon, we're not going to utilize any of that monies until we get our parking variance or our site plan review completed with the county. That any monies we spend on this construction documents is contingent upon us actually getting approval from the county first.
And John, on the renderings that have been provided and the details, you still think it's going to be feasible to continue some or most of the amenities within the existing Arts and Crafts Center while they're doing the excavation and construction on the rest of this facility?
And that's a good question, because I think it's really going to come down to the GC that we select once we go out for bid and actually have a discussion with the contractor based on their scheduling, their availability, and their abilities to actually split that building in half, and how much of the building and what aspects of the building are going to be functional during that construction process. Because there's a lot of infrastructure underground and above ground that's got to happen. And yes, the building may be there, but there's obviously the power requirements to even function in that building, the plumbing and things like that. Those are the discussions we need to have with the GC, is what he can make happen for us. And that's going to be one of our selection criteria based on their timing and the cost to make that happen and how long it's going to take.
John, before you go on, I've always said that we want to maximize the square feet that we can get out of that space. Obviously, we're not covering the whole space. We're limited by the parking, is that correct?
That's correct. We've maximized based on what the parking we can obtain from that area. We've maximized every square foot of that space that we can actually obtain based on our assessment of the parking count that we need for this additional square footage that we're adding.
How many additional square feet are we getting?
Additionally, right now it's roughly about 3,000 square feet. Don't quote me on an exact number on that, but I can get you that number though. Yeah. Again, we don't have construction documents. That's what we're trying to do now, to get construction documents. Once we establish the true construction document, then we'll have an understanding of what square footage we're actually adding to the space.
My question is simpler than that. If we have 3,000 now, what are we going to have at the end?
In addition to 3,000. In addition to what we already have now.
So we have 3,000 plus 3,000.
Oh, we don't have 3,000 now. I don't know what the square footage is exactly now. I don't know what the actual square footage we have now.
Let's try again. At the end of the day, how many square feet are we going to have?
Roughly about 8,500.
8,500.
Roughly.
So if we have 3,000 now, then we're going to add about 5,000.
Yes.
Okay. My other question is, why are we doing 3 buildings rather than just 1 building?
it's more of the flow and the acceptability of the residents and all the communities we've had and all the meetings we've had with all the different groups that utilize that. They just didn't want a building space. They wanted to be able to display their work and their hard work of their crafts that they build and have somewhere to display it and actually meet and have it look like a area that they wanted to have instead of just one big building.
Doesn't that increase the cost?
I don't really think it would, in the sense that, and I don't think we filled the whole space up, we wouldn't have the parking spaces to accommodate the square footage for that additional space.
I know that, but if we just do one building instead of 3 separate buildings, wouldn't that lower the cost? Was it examined, I guess is what I'm saying.
I wouldn't say it was examined, but if you're building one space that adds the same amount of square footage, you're providing the same infrastructure, air conditioning, electrical, and plumbing with the same fixtures and the same fixture count and the same amount of bathrooms. I don't know that, yeah, you may have a few additional linear feet of exterior walls, but I think it's more of what's more practical and functional for the community versus a box.
I think one of the things you need to remember, this is a creative arts and wellness center, so that means there does need to be an architectural feature to it. In other words, we want to make it very conducive to have not only indoor spaces, but also outdoor spaces. And what this particular plan does is it opens up a great, for lack of a better word, patio internal into the buildings, and I think that will give it a lot more of an eye catcher and just basically lend itself more to the arts side of the world. So, I mean, you have to play to both ends. It's not only an engineering problem, it's also a art problem, and that's why you hire an architect, basically. So, I think what they've come up with is very similar to what 2 of our residents proposed initially, and I think it's very attractive, and it'll lend itself to the space, and you still get the square footage that the parking will allow.
Yeah. When we built the billiard hall, a large expense was the sprinkler system. Are we going to have a sprinkler system in all 3 new buildings?
Yes.
Isn't that a huge extra expense? Rather than just have one sprinkler system in one building?
We have sprinkler systems in 2 buildings now over there.
The sprinkler system is already over there
Yeah,
in the
it's
existing
already
arts and crafts as well as the gift shop area. So what we're going to be
so we're
doing.
only adding one more?
You're not really
sprinkler.
adding one more because you really got 2 buildings here because the arts and crafts area, can you go back to your first one? The arts and crafts area is actually attached to the other, there we go.
Yep.
You can see that, that's attached. So that's basically 2 buildings that you have, and that's similar to what we have today.
Okay. Are we going to have a pass-through from the dance area to the other building?
Which
Pass through from the
building?
dance area to the pottery area?
Yeah. No, that's going to be blanked off. Just one entrance to the,
Yep.
okay.
Oh, it'll be an exit through the west side there, the double doors on the west side for egress. The bottom left-hand corner there's some double doors going out the back end.
Okay, can you give me a north orientation here when you say west?
Top is north.
To the left side.
Okay. John, when you talk about adding 67 parking spots, will that entail a reconfiguration of existing parking spots to shrink them, for instance, over in the large parking lot across on the other side of the street coming into Saddlebrook?
We're not rearranging any of the parking spaces on the other side of Saddlebrook Boulevard, which runs into the clubhouse there.
Yeah.
Only parking lot we've redesigned is the one that's on the south side of the Ridgeview, Bocce Ball, the area right around Bocce Ball.
Okay, thanks.
We picked up roughly double the amount of parking. Right now, we have angular parking over by the bocce ball courts. And by moving those islands on the north and south of the bocce ball courts, what happens is we're able to get them in perpendicular. So by having the perpendicular, you need a little bit more linear footage after the parking lot, but you definitely can get, by putting it perpendicular, you can get double the parking basically to what you have now.
So those spots will be large enough to accommodate 2 golf carts?
Yes, oh yes, yep. And one of the things that the conversation with Pinell County was, we need to make sure that whatever parking spaces we're creating for this building, we don't want to have the residents have to cross over Saddlebrook Boulevard. So all the additional spaces that we're creating to support the additional square footage has to be on the south side of Saddlebrook Boulevard. What was that?
Next one.
So step 3, and once we get the construction drawings, would be submit them to Pinal County for review and for permit, and also bid it out to some general contractors and get their full assessment of our different ideas on how we want to go about this. And of course, obtain a construction permit and confirm the FF&E list, cost, and the sourcing of all that equipment. And the residents have really helped me out as far as developing that list. We're still building that list, but there is a lot of information coming in from the residents as far as what we need to put in that building, separate from the construction process itself.
Yeah. In between bid and obtain construction permit would be the approval from the board.
Yeah.
Sorry about that. In between bid and obtain the construction permit, there's going to have to be an approval from the board. So we'll come back to the board once we get the pricing on it and talk about all that good stuff. So.
Yep. So the task force that's been working on this here is obviously myself, Bob Collier, Don, John LeBar, Larry White, and Brian Ripley. And then also I'd be remiss if I didn't mention the honorable mentions that have been really helping out a lot with this and taking a good interest in this. And that's Russell Weems, Tom Adkins for the pottery, Ed Larson from the Radio Club, Delise and Janet for the technical arts, Mark Erickson, both on the gift shop and the wood shop area, and of course Tony Muscott and wood shop. And then we've got Ann and Dale and Nan for the ballroom, and JC, I think her name is, from the line dancers, Carol Jones and Stephanie from the Coyote Cloggers, and a whole bunch of others. Robin from the Saddlebrook Squares, Terry from the Silver Bells, Carolyn Mitchell, Paper Crafters, Lynn Long and Fran Dorr from the Sue and So's, Lynn McCrossan from the Brook Beaters, Connie Rank Smith, both on the Saddlebrook Quilters and the Vintage Sewing, and Nancy McCluskey from the Fiber Arts Group. This slide here, the first 3 lines are what we presented back in March for the original schematic design concept from both the phase 1 and phase 2 to include the reimbursable expenses. The civil engineering cost came up to $100,100. The board approved $103,000. To date, we have spent $71,300 of that, so we have $31,700 remaining on that initial request. So bringing that $31,700 forward, to move forward, we would need construction documents costs of $84,500, construction administration costs $24,900, and current change order requests from the A&E, architectural engineering, and the civil engineer. Because of all the different conversations we've had, they've submitted some change orders. They've yet to explain to me and show me what those change orders consist of outside of our original scope that we've asked them for. So they still owe me that answer, but I wanted to put this on there because we could possibly end up paying those change orders. So the total funding requesting is $89,200. And that will take us through fruition for the A&E for phase 1.
John, before you go on, can I ask a couple of questions? Can you go back 1 slide? The phase 1 and phase 2 schematic, my belief is that that's the end product of that is this document, is that correct?
Yes, sir. Yep.
Okay, that's good. The civil engineering costs, what's the work product of that expenditure?
It was.
Is that incorporated?
That was the site plan for all the drainage and grading and things like that. There, it was slow coming, but it finally did get here.
Okay. Are we done with these costs? I mean, it looks like the 31.7 is not spent and doesn't sound like it needs to be spent. So have we gotten all these things for 71,000 that we expected to be 100,000? Or is there still more work they're doing?
There's still work on the 30% drawings that they're still working on. which was a part of the original bid. I just wanted to get us going so we can go ahead and get the construction documents started. So when we do get the construction documents done, we can review them and get them off to the county for permitting. Because I estimate the county is going to take several months before we get a permit from them, possibly.
Next slide, I have one more question. The administration cost is $25,000. What is that? That's a big number. Well, I'm just curious what it is. I mean,
The administration cost is when we do the building process and we have red lines and changes and things like that there, and any interaction that the contractor, the DC has with the architectural engineer, because just because the drawings are complete, the architect's not done. So whenever we build something, they put it on paper, but however, when you get done building it, there's changes and things that come up that need to be corrected or changed or reviewed from an engineering standpoint, based on, it could be as simple as an air conditioning placement, load bearing, or electrical distribution, things like that there, where the engineering team would have to be involved with that request for, yep.
I had a question also. I thought when we approved that was, so are you saying they're keeping a balance for us of 31,700?
No.
Because we approved the
No,
full amount.
They
to go.
don't have this number in front of them.
Okay, all right, I misunderstood then from
Yeah.
before with approving it.
The only thing we wrote them a PO for was their original contract to provide their services at that given time.
Okay, all right, thank you.
Are we ready for a motion, Steve?
I move to approve the funds to proceed with the construction drawings for the Creative Arts and Wellness Center at a cost of $91,876, which includes a 3% contingency, funds to come from the Capital Improvement Fund in accordance with the Saddlebrook One procurement policy.
Okay, any other board discussion?
Yeah, I have a question.
Yes.
None of this money is going to be spent on the wood shop plan.
That's correct.
So we're done with the wood shop process until it comes up again later, and however far in the future.
That's correct.
We're only talking about this.
Phase
building.
one, which is the Community Arts and Wellness Center.
Thank you.
The initial process there was just to get a good schematic design for the wood shop, and we've done that, and until we get back to that.
Any other board comments?
I just have a quick question. So the open space that's in the middle, obviously if we roofed that, we would be creating more space. But if we create more space, then we have a larger issue with parking, is that correct? So we're kind of pretty much limited to the space that we've created for the parking spaces that we have, correct?
Pretty much, yes. We can only create so many parking spaces, and it's all about occupied space. Obviously, you have some forgiveness there as far as storages and different requirements for different type of space, like restrooms and things like that there. But it all comes together as what you're required to have based on a code requirement for that additional space and the existing space, and what parking spaces you need in total to accommodate those individuals using that space.
Right. So the space in the middle that is open is not counted as
It is not.
space, so
It is not.
okay, so even if we closed, we couldn't conceivably close it unless we created more parking spaces, which we don't have.
That's correct.
Okay.
Here's a question that requires some conjecture on your part. You're going to be going to the county with these number of new spaces, which actually require somewhat of a variance in the first place. So what if the county turns around and said, well, we can give you a little more spaces. Why don't you build a bigger building?
I'm not sure where they would get those extra spaces at.
I like the word.
I guess if we so locked into this thing that we couldn't adjust, as you can see, I'm interested in the maximum amount of space we can get out of that space over there, because it's just, we're so limited in spaces.
Right.
I'd like to get as much space as we can get. Are we getting locked into what your design shows with the three extra buildings we're putting in there? Or the three new buildings, right? Not that, two. I see 3, but it's okay.
No, I think on the other side of the road, remember I mentioned that this side of the road is what we got to deal with because that's the space that is going to be utilized by, or the parking spaces are going to be utilized by people occupying that. Now, on the other side of the Saddlebrook Boulevard, which is, like the employee parking and things like that there, if we were to reclaim some of that hill on the backside there to make more parking spaces on that side, we could make additional spaces, but I think that would encroach upon the golf course going that direction.
No, I'm not, believe me, sometimes counties are reasonable, and they could say, we could give you a little more space here. Do you want to build more building? Are we locking ourselves into these 2 buildings the way it is right now, or could we adjust and get more space in the buildings? That's a tough question, I know, and it's sort of a curveball, but, we're on a process, and I don't want to limit ourselves out of the gate because the county is thinking one way, and we're trying to adjust ourselves to the county's thinking. And what if we ask them for more? See what I'm saying?
Well, we are in the sense that we're asking them to approve our concept based on our existing parking variance, based on the parking space of land that we're giving up to make more parking spaces. We're asking them to approve our new count with our existing variance of the consuming space that we have that we're willing to sacrifice and we think is feasible, that it won't interrupt other residents or other amenities and things like that too.
I know, but my basic question, are we locking ourselves in by going to these construction drawings based on whatever they think we should have? You see what I'm saying, right?
Yeah, we're not going to construction drawings until after the county says okay.
Okay.
So if the county comes back and they are wonderfully
Reasonable.
generous, certainly I think that we could probably increase the size of the buildings. Yeah, we can go get ourselves some more space. I'm not going to hold my breath for that, but basically John is really, and he indicated it during the presentation, it's really important that you understand that the county needs to approve it before we go forward with this particular plan.
Got it, thanks.
Yeah, thank you so much for those questions, Len, because I agree, maybe they would miscount and we get a bigger building. Anyway, so I had a question actually for you, John. You have a day job, which I see you at all hours around the community and do a great job and work really hard. So are we going to have someone more local or hire someone to sort of be the day-to-day overseer of this project for us?
No, I think feasibly, because during the Roadrunner Grill project, any questions that came up from the contractor, that individual had to come to me to find out, hey, can we shut the water off? Can we do this? Can we do that? And I think creating a third party in there would convolute the informational flow and be able to execute the process. Now, to your point, now when it comes down to the wood shop or something like that there that's dislocated from my office where I can't just walk across the street over to the Arts and Crafts building, that's a different story. Yeah, to be able to run down there 4 or 5 times a day to the wood shop, that'd be a challenge to be able to logistically make that happen when the contractor calls upon me for questions and things like that there. So I usually like to put eyes on something before I give a contractor an answer to their question. But for this project here, being in the same parking lot is pretty much the same, and in my eyes, a lot easier than what the Roadrunner Grill was. Because the Roadrunner Grill was more intricate in the sense that you had to deal with a central plant and different things in much tighter spaces as far as the kitchen. There's no kitchen at the Arts and Crafts building, and there definitely isn't a central plant, which was a big challenge of the Roadrunner Grill renovation.
And just so everybody knows in the audience that John took it on himself to do that Roadrunner Grill and saved us a ton of money and gave us a better product by being right there on scene, answered all the questions that the contractor had to come up with. And thank you for that, John.
Yeah. No, but to your point, though, as far as the wood shop, I could see that definitely be a need for someone to be more accessible in a timely manner for a project down at that site there. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, I'm just thinking, if they have questions and the things that you discussed, but if they're putting up I just know from experience out here, if my husband, who knows how to do that stuff, isn't like overseeing, okay? So, oh, by the way, we don't want a piece of drywall there, whatever. But I just think that it's going to be a bigger project than the Roadrunner Grill. So that's the reason I, asked the question. I know that you're more than capable, but it's just a matter of, with this bigger project. The other thing I was going to say is that with that open area that Tom was clarifying for us, I do know that that was a big piece of having it be for everyone. So not just the pottery people, but there'll be an open area. I would envision possibly tables or chairs or whatever the people using that building. But I see that as it's more than just the dancers and everything else, because we don't have a lot of those types of spaces. Yeah. And who knows, maybe there'll be a coffee stand or something.
Yeah.
Oh, I'm sorry. Ice cream. All right.
No, I agree. Initially, I thought bigger, just a building would be better, but after you look at it, the concept, creating that courtyard in there for everyone to socialize, which is really what this is all about, to be able to socialize instead of just being in a building, and to be able to pass through and people to look through and watch through as they walk through to see what's going on. I think the courtyard makes a lot of sense. Yeah.
Any other board comments or questions? Any resident comments? Questions, come on up. And please just state your name and lot number.
What the hell did I do? Oh.
Unit, if you have it.
I'm Bob Hutton. I'm in Unit 1, 174. I love Saddlebrook, everything I've seen here, and I think we're going to be here a long time. I've heard back burner a few times from John on the wood shop. I'm really interested in the Arts and Wellness Center, but the wood shop I really going to enjoy. I wonder what that back burner means for timeline. We're not getting anything other than preliminary drawings right now, and you've already got them for the wood shop. But what is seen for that project?
It really comes down to the cost of this building first, and seeing what that really cost is going to build us and how fast we can build our reserves back up and our capital budget back up once we establish that cost of this building before we can put a timeline to executing the phase 2 concept.
That makes sense. But I've never heard any dollars either as far as what is available to use or what the projected costs are for the first part and the second part. Is that going to be made more public?
Oh, you bet. Once we get a contractor on board and actually get a bid from them, and all the contractors' bids will be presented to the board as a whole.
What I mean is just what's the overall plan for how many dollars is going to be available in the next year or 2 years or whatever you've already discussed, or maybe that's for later too.
I think to answer your question, the bigger picture of where all the money's at and how much there is available for this project, I think that's probably a visit, which I think you're able to go to the finance committee meetings and things like that there, being a new resident. I would encourage that to see what that's all about and see where the monies are at and how they're being allocated for different funds.
And then the site plan, the drawings that you showed us today, is there some of that available that I can share with the residents? I'm a unit representative.
This slide presentation is all online on the website?
It is.
Yep.
Very good. All right, thank you.
Okay. Good afternoon, Harry Ford, Unit 21, Lot 2. I've commented on this project before. I guess my first question is, this project started out 10 years ago as $1.25 million. Now we have $5.37 million. So what's happened in between that this project has grown so much? And second, is the 5.37 million in the 10-year plan still a good number based on all the work you've been doing since you put it together? The second question is, well, the one question I asked on the woodworking, which I guess we're not talking, is it was 3,000 square feet for $2 million, which is $666 a square feet. Is that still a good number? The next thing is, how are we doing from a competitive standpoint? If you look at Robeson and the ranch, he has a 16,000 square foot facility. This is 8,500 square feet. So what amenities are we not going to have when we get this done to compete with Robeson at the ranch, Robeson Ranch, Quail Creek? The other question is on the parking. What I'd like to know is what are the total spaces that are required per code, and how many total variance spaces are we requesting? So for instance, if it's 500 spaces and for the code, how many spaces are we going to come up with? What's the difference that the county has to approve?
Thank you, Mr. Ford, for expressing your concerns. Thank you very much.
I want to answer one of his questions.
Sure, go ahead.
This document about the costs for the building, and this one says the bottom line is for this building, the A&E is $4,150,000. In our 10-year plan over the next 2 years, which we just approved last month, the funds for about $4 million is in there. So we're somewhat close to where this stands.
Thank you.
The second piece is the renovation of the existing arts and crafts building would be done after this new building is built, and we have $510,000 for a complete renovation of that because it's a 30-year-old building. So we have a reasonable match between money and these plans for phase one.
Thank you, Don, for clarifying that. Are there any other resident comments? Are you sure? Okay.
Just a follow-up comment as well. Thank you, Don, for giving a little bit of clarity on that. I think until we have the bids, as John was saying, and so on, I don't think there's really a number that we can, print out and, say this is it, right? And I also want to stress that we really are going to want community involvement. I mean, we have a very big community of very smart people. I wish there were more people here. I'm sure you find this a little boring. But I really think that we're going to have to, as a community, understand the improvements or the addition of this building and what it does for our community now and in the future. And that is part of being competitive, to Harry's point, but it's also part of making sure we don't stand still because the world is moving out there. And I think you talked about the what are they calling it? The design? Yeah.
The schematic design?
No, for the technical arts. Is that what it's called? I can't recall. Yeah, technical arts. So, these are things that we obviously don't have facilities for, but people coming into the community may be very familiar with. And I think it's important not to just think about the money, is to think about the value and the progression and moving forward for our community as well.
Thank you, Kathleen. Okay, I think we're ready for a vote on the motion. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion carries unanimously. You're back, John, for another.
Drainage and engineering services. Uh-oh. Oh, here we go. Objective here is to obtain a survey data and engineering recommendations to make improvements to grading and drainage of 3 specific areas within the HOA property. Also to review the engineering recommendations from implementation strategy and provide our organization with a feasible and cost-effective plan for execution. On the map here, you'll see 3 areas highlighted in red. What's the top one there is the golf course. Over to the right is the Unit 21 Canondoro Wash, and the bottom left there is the wash area down by the maintenance shops. Those are the 3 areas that we're going to be addressing. Golf course drainage first. The drainage area adjacent to the Catalina course 3 and 4, 8 and 9 has incurred years of silt buildup. This buildup has caused modified water flow, area of standing water, and pipe overflow blockage in many areas. I'm sure most of y'all play on the course and realize that area, when it rains, the water fills up on that and just doesn't drain off like it should. It's just because over the years, it's just been building up with silt and things like that there. The grade needs to be reset to provide continuous runoff, eliminate the areas of standing water and erosion, and reestablish clear outflow from existing drainage pipes. And then review the installation of cleanouts, grade changes, structure to better manage long-term maintenance. I can't read that number on there myself. It encompasses about, I think, 6,000, is that right, 6,000 square feet? Yeah. That's a lot of area for drainage. Bobcat Canyon, which is down by the maintenance shops. This area is the last point of departure for a considerable amount of the water that runs off the entire HOA. That's where the last point of departure, and just a lot of volume comes in, and velocity comes down through there, and it's all running downhill, and it collects right there. When it does, it's a river, and then when it comes down so fast, it comes down so fast it can't get through the culverts and floods our maintenance yard for the common grounds, and runs all over the channel banks. That's the general area there. Just north of the red area there is the facilities and common area maintenance building. Canondoro Wash. The west bank of the wash is experiencing significant erosion. If you all walk along that trail along the wash area there, you'll see that there's a fence on there now, and that fence is being eroded to the point where a lot of the posts are not even no longer attached to the ground. They're just kind of hanging in midair. They're suspended. The erosion of the bank is getting very close to the footings of the existing water path and fencing. And there's also a water line that goes across that wash over to one of our neighbors, which keeps getting exposed, and we have to repair that water line when it breaks, which is his domestic water. This is a good map, I think, because it shows all the blue squares you see is land owned by either the residents of those areas, because they own a lot of the land behind their houses. It is non-buildable, but they still own that land. And also towards the bottom left there, that square, the HOA owns that property. So we technically own a good portion of the wash area itself. And talking to the engineers, and they agree that a lot of the changes that has to be made to this wash is on either HOA or resident-owned, technically, property. However, it is a wash, and it's controlled by the environmentalist, so we need to get their approval to do any changes to that. And it has to start upstream to get that river, that waterway to flow to the other side, because over the years, it's switching banks. It's going towards us versus staying on the other side of the bank over there. So that's what they're trying to do, is figure out how they go about rearranging that. Engineering key deliverables. Provide aerial topographical mapping and field survey data. Identify existing utilities, drainage, irrigation, pavement, infrastructure. Provide the hydrology data to determine runoff that impacts each project site. Provide a grading and drainage concept design that delivers optimal erosion control. And confirmation only with Pinal County if a review or approval is required. Obviously, anything done with a waterway has to be approval from the Pinal County, or we have to ask them if they want any kind of permitting done, and quite possibly from the Corps of Engineers, and ask them if there's any things they want us to do before we do any changes to that wash. Obviously, we got to have a hydrology report before we present to them a plan, which is what the engineers are going to give us. Hydraulic determination based on the current FEMA, which is a flood management insurance study standards. The exclusions. They went out, the engineer went out submitting any plans or anything to Pinal County. All they're going to do is ask them, give them an example of what they're trying to do to see if they're requesting any formal type of approval request and what that request would be. Then they would probably pass that on to myself, and we would make that request if they require so. Is anticipated the engineer will confirm and report any requirements that may be necessary. They will definitely report back. Utility conflicts and constraints will be identified on their final report. However, they will not be making any relocation effort will be included. So they'll identify any conflicts with any kind of utilities and tell us where they're at, but we'll have to make arrangements if there is any utilities in any of these areas that we need to change. Any irrigation conflicts, either on a golf course or on our areas, will be managed by HOA staff, either golf or common area. They recommended we do a survey because it is pretty much nowadays it's all done by flyover, by satellites and whatnot, and they recommended doing a survey all at once on all three areas, and those are the price breakdown for all three different areas to do the survey all three times, all of them at the same time. $42,000.
No one wants to do
Yeah.
drainage.
I move to approve the drainage engineering services at a cost of $43,260, which includes a 3% contingency. Funds to come from the replacement reserve fund in accordance with Saddlebrook 1 procurement policy.
Second.
Thank you. All right, board comments and questions.
John, what are you going to do with this stuff, with these reports?
I'm going to share them with the property and roads, golf committee, things like that there, kind of review them and see what kind, because they're going to make recommendations as far as what we can do to those areas and determine how much of that we can do internally, possibly, with our own crews, which have good crews, both golf and common area, and then what will require a contractor, if any, to do it. It makes some determination and make a plan.
How urgent is the problem?
I think that the one down at the maintenance yard is definitely an issue when it rains heavily. That fills up quite a bad. And also the golf course area is definitely the two major ones that we need to address. And definitely probably our most priority. The Canondoro wash, it's over the years, about 5 years ago when I got here, Marco and myself went out there and put these reinforcement rods in the ground, painted them, just so we can get an understanding over the years of how much erosion is truly happening in the Canondoro wash. And it's definitely encroaching upon our area of our land and our fence lines and things like that there over the years. It's obviously the wash has been here a long time. Saddlebrook's been here a long time, but I think it's something we need to plan down the road, a few years down the road, to make some remediation to prevent that from happening.
How long are these plans good for? In other words, they're going to be a snapshot of what exists on the day they do the survey. And things change, water runs off and so forth and so forth. So how long do you plan on getting stuff done based on these plans?
Well, I think once we get the survey back, and those are the questions we can sit down and ask the engineering team, and say, okay, based on your findings, and through their information, and find out an answer to that. If we don't execute this for 4 or 5 years down the road, would we have to redo the engineering for it, or how do we go about proceeding? And how critical it is on their perspective, because they're hydrologists, they know exactly, because of the water flow, how much in 5 years, how much worse that may become or not become.
Any idea how much it's going to cost, these 3 projects, if we do them?
We'll know that until we get the engineering, to know what exactly is required for the correction.
I mean, we know what it was on Catalina 1, cost us, what, $400,000?
Yep.
Are we looking at that kind of money?
I think that the ones down on the golf course, the next phase of this year, I mean, I don't want to say it's not going to be cheaper, but I think a lot of the work that I see and the layman, it can be done internally, but until we actually get that study back from the engineering to take a good look at that and see how much we can do internally, we'll make a better decision on that. But without this information, we won't be able to make that assessment.
Okay.
Mike, you got anything else?
Mike?
Yeah, I would just say that, the golf course portion, at this point, we're not anticipating the need for hardscape drainage structure like we installed on Catalina 1. Turf grass is the best erosion around once it's established. So we're just really talking about resetting the elevations so that we get consistent water flow. And that's what we've lost over the last 30 years. So we're just basically asking to reset that flow line on the golf course and add some structures that would make it easier for us to maintain down the road so we don't have to get to this point as quickly again.
And these plans would help you do that?
They would.
Okay.
Yep.
John, my understanding is the Bobcat Canyon, everything flows downhill. So we're getting a lot of water flow coming all the way from the preserve on down through our courses, right?
That's correct. And all the new buildings, houses going up in the little horseshoe area there, and every time they build a house and they disturb the native soil, all that fresh soil gets disturbed and runs down by us as well. So that's a lot of the silt that we're seeing that gets built up over the years.
And I know from talking to people who have lived here quite a while, when we have a real monsoon, Bobcat Canyon can fill. It goes right across Ridgeview into Bobcat Canyon. Okay, thank you.
I've been stuck in the maintenance facility for an hour or two waiting for the water to go down.
Any resident comment? Yes, please. You first. Why don't you go?
Craig McPherson, Unit 21, Lot 74. I'm one of the lots that's in your map.
Yeah.
Bobcat Canyon doesn't include any residences. The golf course doesn't. Unit 21 gets hit. I've been in Saddlebrook 19 years. That wash has risen with the silt. Most often when there's been a fire on the mountain and the wash comes down, when Robeson builds, a wash comes down. So in the last couple of years, we've had the Ram's Head or whatever was fire and Robeson building. That's really come up. When we first moved in, it was very deep. Have any of you walked that? I know.
Yeah, I have.
Okay.
I know where it is.
There was no way a cow could get out of the wash up onto the lot.
Right.
The reason there's a fence now is that
'cause they
you don't
can't,
need a
yeah.
fence. They can walk right up. They have no need to go up.
Right.
I don't know if your study is going to address the silting in or just redirecting, because obviously you can't de-silt it without creating a lake. So I'm interested in what you're coming up with. I applaud you for looking at it now before water is lapping up against our wall. Thank you.
Yes, thank you. And we do appreciate John being proactive. Thank you.
Chuck Morgan for Lot 9, Unit 3. On the Bobcat Canyon stuff, so what you're having problems with also then goes down beyond the sewer plant. So if we're changing something, it's probably going to affect them, and maybe they're having problems too. So if you, my request would be that you try to coordinate with Long Little Oral Sewer or whatever the heck they call themselves, but the sewer plant operators and stuff, see if A, they'd share some cost, and B, if we're changing something upstream, that we aren't creating a problem downstream for them.
And that's why we hired a civil engineer that has a hydrology piece of this, to where he's going to look at the bigger picture forward and backwards as far as to make sure the flow stays consistent throughout the whole process.
Harry Ford, Unit 21, Lot 2. I provided a lot of documentation on this issue in the past. I guess my first question, when I looked at the budget, the only thing that I saw in the future was $500,000 for the CDO park. Is there anything in the future for actual dollars for Bobcat Canyon and the Catalina course? I've looked at the CDO. I've been down there when it's overflowed, the banks. And I'm concerned that we're looking at one portion, but we're not talking to Saddlebrook 2, and we're not talking to Golder and all the other property owners that are going to be affected along the way. Why aren't we working with Saddlebrook 2 and Golder to maybe come up with a more cost-effective plan and a longer-term plan that will solve their problem as well as ours? If you look at the USGS map, you'll see how this runs 48 miles from Mount Lemmon all the way down. Are we going to have to deal with the USGS and the Corps of Engineers? And if so, how much is that going to raise the cost? Okay.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ford. Any other comments from the residents?
There is $250,000 in the RRF right now for the golf course drainage issue. There, in this budget for this year, we had $25,000 in for Bobcat Canyon, and as Mr. Ford reiterated, again, another $500,000 for the other one. So they're placeholders at this point. Yes. I don't even know if they're a good guess or a bad guess, but we're going to find out as a result of John's study.
Well, that's why it's so important. Okay, let's take a vote. All in favor? Aye. Any opposed? Okay, motion passes unanimously. I believe we're done, and we now turn to another important item. Our meeting is jam-packed today.
Golf. All right, we're going to talk about proposed golf fees for 2025. I kind of want to just, before I start, take note, Saddlebrook 1 golf team, which doesn't mean just Jane and I. It means all of our staffs, and want to thank Andy Timothy and the golf committee for their contribution to this proposal. They've been a vital piece of the conversation and the puzzle as have kind of moved through the process to get to this point where we have a fee proposal to present to you. So thank you to everybody who's helped us get here. An overview, we're going to talk about a lot of information today. A lot of numbers, estimates, rounds, dollars. This is kind of a roadmap of what we're going to do. We're going to kind of review year to date, 2024, talk a little bit about our next year, and then talk about assumptions, challenges, goals that we've laid out that we need to consider when we look at 2025. Talk about our 2025 programs in detail, draw some conclusions based on those plans, and show you a potential revenue model for the 2025 golf season. Year to date, where have we been? Golf participation continues to remain strong, and Jane and I believe that it has room for growth. We're on track to do well over 83,000 rounds of golf this year at Saddlebrook One. Comparing that to where we were pre-pandemic, we're in the low 70s was our average. So I think we very successfully have held on to a good portion of the increased activity that we experienced during that period. Certainly, our neighbors had some challenges. They only had 9 holes open at Mountain View. They didn't overseed the 9 that was open. And we did impact positively from their challenges. It's something we'll talk about a little bit more as we move forward and look at next year. Weather is the number one factor related to golf. And I can't predict it. But we had a good year in 24. Very warm. We had moisture in the wintertime in 2024. But to have our last frost delay occur at the end of January is really remarkable. To have that happen that early in the winter and then just have warm mornings the rest of the way. And then that followed by, Vivian mentioned it earlier, the hottest summer on record. So that has hurt us negatively because it's been so warm. And so we have to balance those and something we factor in our thinking as we look forward. Rounds. I just told you we estimate we're going to be well over 83,000 rounds this year. That puts us 3 out of the last 4 years over 83,000 rounds. So we think that is as kind of a magic number for us, and that's the number we use when we estimated activity levels in 2025. We certainly hope it's more, but based on recent history, we think it's a good place to start. 2025 and beyond, where are we going? We want to keep the momentum, continue to provide events and experiences that maintains and expands participation, continue the service culture that Jane fosters and does on a daily basis, a knowledgeable and engaging staff that puts the resident experience first. That's a key piece to our success and something we'll continue to focus on. Continuous improvement, keep adding to and updating the experience, not only on the golf course, but also in the golf shop. I heard somebody mention earlier not standing still. We definitely have that philosophy when it comes to golf. Our neighbors are improving. We need to continue to make things better, a little bit at a time and focus on improvement. And be the choice. We want to make sure when new residents move into Saddlebrook that we're welcoming. We explain our operation. We explain what playing golf at Saddlebrook One means and what it comes with. And so those are the things that we're focused on for next year and going forward. Assumptions and challenges. What will 2025 look like? Expenses. We talked about the lease a little bit earlier. We're updating projects. We are anticipating finally having the full lease package, so that is going to impact our expenses in 2025. We are using the 83,000 rounds of golf as our baseline for next year. HOA 2, Mountain View's open. Very positive feedback on the experience over there, on the changes to the golf course. They are overseeding both golf courses this year. That's the first time that's happened in several years. So we expect that to have an impact on our operation. And retail sales, we are expecting to be able to grow the sales slightly, 4%, and keep our cost of goods around 70 overall in the golf shop. Goals. Our goals as a golf operation for 2025, maintain our memberships. We currently sit at 460 annual members. We use 450 for our budgetary guideline. So it is a slight decrease, but some of those challenges we discussed factor into that thinking. We want to continue to reward commitment. The residents that are committed to playing their golf at Saddlebrook One, we want to reward that, provide discounts, unique events, and we think that's an important piece of the puzzle for us moving forward. enhance the experience. Where pace matters has been a very positive thing for us this year. 83,000 rounds, the pace of play is a big piece of the puzzle. We can get 83,000 rounds through the facility and have most people stay relatively pleased with how long it takes. Some days are better than others, but maybe it depends on which league's out there, I don't know, but we really want to make sure that that continues to be a focus for us, and it's a goal for next year. And grow the game. Jane and her staff really embrace this. This is something that she truly believes in, and it shows in her activities. Clinics, group lessons, demo days, the lesson experience, a beginners league we're looking at. We still think there's opportunities for growth for new golfers, even in a retirement facility like ours. So those are our goals for next year. Let's start talking about the different membership options. We'll start with the annual membership. Remember, we want to continue to reward commitment. This is the membership that has unlimited golf for a 12-month period. There's no limitations on time of day. You can play any time of the day you wish. The lowest of everything, the lowest Chelsea points, the lowest guest fees, range fees, all those things, that's that commitment that we're providing to our annual golfer. Annual gift, bag tag, open houses, food and beverage discounts. These are all pieces of that membership that we think provide value. The built-in discounts, 20% on soft goods, 10% on hard. We want to continue that. We offer a no-cost monthly payment option. If you want to pay the annual fee over 12 months, you can do it at no additional fee. And there's no fee for green fee for club events. So we want you to participate in our club events at no additional cost. It's the largest driver of our operating revenue. I would say over 50% comes from the annual membership and everything it encompasses. Over 40% of our golf shop sales come from annual members. That's why we're focused on it. Like I said, we're budgeting 450 annuals in 2025. And we are proposing a slight increase to the annual fee from $3,780 to $3,900 for the first annual, and the second in the same house going from $3,420 to $3,540. So essentially an increase of $10 a month to the annual fee for next year. We do not offer refunds with that membership, but we do offer medical credit based on the G2 golf policy. Afternoon annual. This has become a very popular membership for us. We currently have 53 people participating in this. We're budgeting 47 for next year. This is for people who are willing to wait to play later in the day. Same benefits, that big list I showed you for annual members also comes with the afternoon annual, but you are limited by the time of day. It's actually a benefit for the regular annual because it helps balance out the tee sheet. It moves golf into a time of day that most annuals don't want to play, and in essence opens up earlier tee times for others who want to play earlier in the day. So we are proposing an increase from $23.40 to $24.24 for 2025, $7 a month increase if you spread it out over 12 months. Same thing with the afternoon annual. We don't offer a refund. We do have the medical credit policy in place. So let's talk now about a couple of our monthly golf memberships. The afternoon monthly. We have limited availability in this membership because we do have a tee sheet to manage, and we want to make sure that people who purchase this membership have a chance to play. We did see a decline in this membership in 2024. I think we kind of feel like we maybe have kind of hit a ceiling a little bit for this membership. We had been raising the price a little bit more aggressively every year because we had waiting lists and people were trying to get in, and we saw that go backwards a little bit this year. So we have adjusted that in our budget process for 2025. They are limited to the last hour of the afternoon. They can purchase or cancel this membership by the 5th of the corresponding month. So what it does is allows people to kind of come and go. If something comes up, they booked a trip at the last minute, they can cancel the month that they're gonna be gone without a penalty. It does include discounts in the golf shop, 15 on soft, 5 on hard. And we're proposing to increase this membership to $280 a month in 2025 and $199 a month in the summertime. Twilight Monthly is another monthly membership we offer. We offer it every month, December, January, February, and October. The light is getting dark a little early for this membership to be worthwhile. Same thing, we want to let them know they have to cancel it or purchase it by the 5th of the month. It also includes discounts in the golf shop. Proposing an increase in the wintertime to $143 a month and in the summer to $129. The last piece of the monthly memberships is the Renter Play Pass. You wouldn't think that this is kind of a big deal, but we sold 87 months in 2024, so over $50,000 in revenue for us. So it is a nice piece of the puzzle. They do get higher Chelsea points than preferred, but lower than daily fee, so they'll be able to get on the tee sheet fairly easy. It's a great way to showcase the community to prospective home buyers. A lot of people come and rent a house for a few months, get a feel for the community. We want golf to be a piece of that puzzle, so offering this for renters really kind of closes that loop. Renters can also play as daily fee players as well. So we are proposing to increase the Renter Play Pass to $575 a month in 2025. And we limit the purchase to 4 months for the Renter Play Pass. And so these are all those memberships we just went over in detail, the revenue generated from them. And you can see we're projecting 2025 based on the proposed fees of over $2 million in revenue from the annual and the monthly memberships. There's the breakdown that we discussed already on the different memberships as far as what we're budgeting for next year. Joanne, do you think it makes sense to take questions on this section, or do you want me to wait till the end?
Yeah, why don't we go ahead and take questions on this section? Questions for the board and the residents?
Mike, you mentioned contacting new residents. What means do you have to identify them and then interact with new residents regarding golf programming?
We have a welcome packet that we have in the golf shop, and it provides a vast array of information about our golf programs, league information, events, Chelsea. So it basically gives them a good taste of what is here for golf. We also utilize the home closure information we get, which is just HOA1. So we will reach out to the new residents via letter, welcoming them to the community and saying we'd love to be part of their experience.
Thanks.
Yeah.
Mike, I've had people say to me that only 10% of the population of Saddlebrook plays golf. What percentage of Saddlebrook residents play golf?
I think the last survey was much higher than 10%. I think it was closer to like 30 or 40%.
But 30 to 40%. Thank you.
The smaller, I worked with the survey, the smaller percentage that you hear is the people that, play, well, there's annual, but the percentages were out to saying once a week, once a month, less than once a month. So there's several percentages depending on how often.
The frequency.
Yeah.
Of the 460 annual members, how many are HOA2 members this year versus the prior year?
We gained about 19 annual members from HOA2 in 2024. So not a huge, honestly, not a huge increase.
How many do you have total?
There's about 120 from HOA2 annual golfers. And I would also tell you that close to 90 of them have been annual golfers here for a long time. Yeah. Yep.
So you would, so you said the Saddlebrook 2 is not necessarily new people because their course was closed. It's more people who have been doing that most of the time.
Yeah, I think, when we get to the preferred membership, that's really where I think we benefited this current year.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
The people who are looking for a place to play once a week or twice a week because they only had one golf course to play on. And so we were a good alternative for that. And so when we get to that point, we'll talk about how we're anticipating that to be less of a positive for us in 2025.
But the annuals, that's not a new trend. As you said, the annuals from Saddlebrook 2 are pretty steady.
We've had a lot of them that have been here a long time. We did see that increase of 19, just in last year. We're hopeful that we hold on to all of them.
Sure.
Obviously. But we are, going from 460 to 450, we are saying, there's a chance we might lose some that want to go back and support, the HOA2 golf operation.
Sure. What is your percentage of new annual signups? Like, just pick a year or last year.
I can tell you with HOA2 new, the 19 new, I'd say half of them were brand new buyers.
Okay.
Saddlebrook. So, if people upgrade their membership, they move from preferred or afternoon. So, I'd hesitate to guess at a number.
Yeah.
But newer, I think we have more new annuals when they're actually new residents.
Okay.
Golfers go in gangs, right? They play with foursomes, eightsomes, 12somes, so they stay with their buddies. So they're less apt to make a change course to course because they have to convince 7 other people. So there's a comfort in your crowd, I think.
Sure, but you have a bulk of people that are annual golfers. 5 years ago, they're annual golfers.
Yes. Yeah. Okay. The decline in annual golfers for us is more physical, aging. And
that happens.
The increase is the same too. Newer ones coming in. So.
Well, I think that.
I'm just saying,
I mean, that makes sense if you have annuals that have been here 18 years and they've been annuals for 18 years. 10 years from now, maybe they aren't, right? So
that's why it's nice for us to see the newer residents.
Yeah.
Choosing the annual memberships.
And I'm glad that you have that welcome packet piece. Here's the other thing. If you have a new resident come in the welcome packet and so on, do you give them like a free 9 holes or any little thing to get them just out there?
We will work with realtors, and we have made that. We've made that known to the realtors in Saddlebrook that, if they have a client that is interested in possibly experiencing the golf courses, we certainly want to try to do that if we can.
Yeah.
Because that might help make a decision for.
Yeah. Yeah. That's great. Okay. Thank you.
Should we continue?
Move on? Yeah. So let's talk about preferred memberships. These fall under our daily fee category when you're looking at our revenue sheet. This is a one-time buy-in, and it includes free rounds, however you want to use them. Some people use them as 9-hole rounds, some people use them as 18-hole rounds, and then access to reduced greens fees thereafter. Very popular membership for seasonal residents who are only here for 5 or 6 months or less. And we did see a huge increase in this membership this year. We budgeted 575 and we have 650 preferreds. So that's really where we benefited from the closures and conditions at HOA2. Like I said earlier, people over there were looking for a different golf course to play once a week, and that preferred membership pays for itself very quickly by the reduced greens fees. And it does include discounts in the golf shop. But we are backing our projections down in this area because of what we've already discussed. We are proposing an increase of the buy-in to $234 during the winter and $171 in the summer. And then there you see on the right side of the screen, the different breakdowns on the greens fees. Those are the reduced greens fees that you get access to with the preferred membership. Remember, we have 2 seasons. We have a winter and a summer, and we also have morning and afternoon. The vast majority of our golfers want to play in the morning, and so that's our prime time tee times, and those tee times cost more, and then we offer a price break in the afternoon, year-round. Daily fee, it accounts for about less than 5% of our total revenue. It's a very small piece of the puzzle. We have the same AM, PM pricing. There is no merchandise discount. There's no commitment. And there you see the breakdown. We are going in the morning, 18 holes, in the winter from 72 to 75. We feel like we have the product to support that. And then you can see the rest of the year, the pricing breakdown for daily fee golfers. And there's our projections. We have more on this page than preferred. We have the preferred fees, the daily fees. We also include our tournament fees and our discounted fees, our twilight rounds, 9 and wine, things like that. Our guest fees are rolled up under daily fees. You can see that. I wanted to point that out. We've exceeded our expectations from the guest fee revenue line, and we expect that to continue in 2025. And so you can see we're expecting just a hair over $1 million in daily fee revenue in 2025. Primarily from slight fee increases that we just talked about. Golf services, this is range balls, golf cart rental, club rental. We are proposing a slight increase to all of these in accordance with our expenses going up. A cart rental for 9 holes, we're proposing $26, 18 holes, $37. We're not going back to the per seat rental that really hurt us during the time when everybody was riding by themselves. But then also a club rental. We have Ping rental sets that are very well received by people who use them. So we are increasing that, the same 26 for 9, 37 for 18. And then also a slight increase to the range ball pricing. Still an annual golfer, 20 baskets for $60. So that's a very, very reasonable rate considering.
Mike, how many golf cart rental occurrences do we have? Because most people, it's a private course, and most people I know have golf carts.
Yeah, I mean, we have eight carts in our cart fleet, so that tells you.
How many uses do we have? Do you approximately have an idea?
I could pull that. It's a small piece of the puzzle.
But it's essential for somebody who doesn't.
We have to have it, right?
Right, we have to have it.
You know, there are times of the year when we maybe don't have all the carts we might need on a given, Thanksgiving, Christmas. When people have guests in town, that's when we have a little bit of an issue with our supply. But like in the summertime, we might go like a whole week without renting a cart. Okay. So it's very seasonally driven.
So this isn't much revenue.
It's a cost of doing business, essentially. We have to have some, but it's not a moneymaker for us for sure. We cover our lease costs for the fleet, essentially. But there you go. There you can see on the club and the cart rentals together, we're anticipating $25,000 and almost $26,000 in revenue. The top line is lessons. I will say that those are basically money in, money out. Essentially, there's no gain for us other than having that service that Jane and the other professionals provide for the residents. Range revenue, And so the total golf service is a little over $200,000 in revenue for next year. Golf shop. We have continued to see growth in this area. Really, I think tied directly to our rounds. The more people are playing golf, the more people are coming into the golf shop, the more eyes on the products that we provide has led to more sales in the golf shop. Also, we're known now, I think, within the community for sure, as having a really great variety of options, and not just for the golf course. We have a lot of casual clothing, especially for women, that people stop and look at and purchase, even if they're just going to the Roadrunner Grill. And we want to continue to that. We are working with a team that was mentioned earlier on the golf shop design. And so we're hopeful to be able to bring a plan forward for next year for that. We did not take that into account into our budgeting for next year because that's not a known thing at this point. Our challenges in the golf shop, we can't compete with the big box stores on if you don't like it within 30 days, come back and pick something else out. We don't do the volume that they do that allows them to be able to do that and then sell the club on the used market, essentially is what they do. We can't compete with that. But we have the demo days and the expertise to really make sure that when you're buying an expensive golf club that we think we're going to have the right one for you when you do make that purchase. The built-in member discounts, those are a challenge for us. They affect our margin. When you automatically half of our sales is 20% off, that has an impact. And then the shipping costs have been slowly become an issue for us, especially with the hard goods. If we order one driver from Callaway and it comes by itself, it costs the same to ship that one driver as it would to ship 15. And so that's something we're talking about internally and something we might need to make an adjustment on moving forward on special order items like that, club orders and things that might be a shipping expense that's part of the transaction. We want to continue the sales program that's been successful. The seasonal techniques, the rotations, we're anticipating 70%. I will say Molly and the staff in the golf shop really work hard to take advantage of the purchasing discounts, paying our bills on time. And we want to continue to do that. The annual member events that everybody looks forward to, where we offer additional discounts have really been successful for us. The holiday sale, things like that. And having a full demo calendar. Jane already has probably, I would say, 15 to 20 dates already on the calendar for vendors to be on site with the newest technology. And I think the community has supported that through their purchases, and we want to continue that moving forward. And there we're anticipating a little over $450,000 in sales next year in the golf shop, which is a 4% increase, roughly 70% cost of goods, with a net amount of $141,000 to the positive for the HOA and for the golf operation. Future considerations. I just wanted to kind of put this in there to let the board know about something we're working with the golf committee on. We're looking at the possibility of turning our annual membership into an auto renewal. You've been out in the marketplace, a lot of things auto renewal. Really, we're trying to make a time saver for number one, the golfer and the resident. You don't have to fill out the application. You don't have to come in and sign it. Your membership rolls over automatically. It would be a huge time saver from a staff standpoint because everybody now has to be updated every year to the new membership. So there's a potential, I think, for benefiting both the golfer and the staff. We have started discussions with our community association lawyer to find out what it would take, how the contract would have to look, how it would be structured. Really, it's about adjusting the policies that are in place. This is not included in this year's proposal. I'm just kind of letting you know where we're headed and what we're exploring as we move forward. All right, conclusions. There's a lot of great up there. That's really not in my DNA to say great that much, but we really feel like this community has a great product when it comes to golf. The golf experience is positive, dynamic, and more than comparable to other options. We continue to make progress. We continue to add to and improve the experience both on the course and in the golf shop. We think we offer a tremendous value. We think our costs for participation are below market value and the experience is above the norm. And we offer a great environment. We're welcoming, we're fun, engaging for all types of golfers. And I think that's what we want you to come away from this presentation, is we're committed to that. And the community support has given us the ability to do this on an annual basis.
Sure. I move to approve the 2025 golf fees as presented.
Second. Any further board discussion?
Yeah, I'd like to just thank Mike and his staff, and also thank the golf committee. A great presentation, and you guys provide such a great service to the community. You know, you hear from golfers, you charge too much, but I don't think they really mean that. I think they know they got a great deal. And then from the non-golfers, you hear, we don't charge enough. But I think it's just right. Do a great job. And one of the things I think that is a positive that you don't have in here for the community is your impact on food and beverage, because food and beverage benefits tremendously when all those golfers come in and go to the Roadrunner Grill and drink beer and eat food. That's something that's not listed in here, but it is definitely a positive. And some of the people who say golf is dying and you're still showing over 80,000 rounds, I don't think that's the situation. So, and I think it has a great deal to do with you and your staff and the golf committee's hard work. So thank you.
But some events are selling out rather quickly, Gene, you know, I mean, we need to do that.
Any resident comments?
Harry Ford, Unit 21, Lot 2. I've commented on this issue in the past. What I didn't see in this presentation was the competitive analysis. Zero. You used to show the other competitors how much they were doing. Highlands at Dove Mountain fees are 17% less. I don't see an investment analysis. How much are we investing in golf, and what's the market value? What's the appraisal? If you look in the books, we have $14.7 million invested in golf, and it probably has a market value of $1 to $2 million. That doesn't sound like a very good investment to me. And I've given you plenty of examples in the past of other courses, 45 holes that sold for $1 million. Why is there no utilization numbers like Bernie used to do in comparison to your competitors? At one point, you had 90,000 rounds. Why can't you get more rounds? What don't you have that your competitors have, like Troon and Invite? And are golfers going to other communities because you don't have those things? I'm one of the 70% of residents that are non-golfers. I knew there would be a cost when I moved here. But when I do the numbers, including the $3.4 million of unallocated overhead to golf and food and beverage, my estimate was it's going to cost me $30,000 over the time that I'm here, plus inflation, to have a golf course. That's a terrible investment for me. And I think you're going to have a hard time getting non-golfers to come into Saddlebrook if they really understand the financial situation.
Thank you, Mr. Ford. Your time has expired, but we do we honor your concerns and we respect your concerns. Thank you. Let's take a vote. All in favor of the motion?
Aye.
Any opposed? Okay, the motion carries unanimously. And we have a final item on our agenda. And that is the Beach Fleischman, the proposal regarding the auditors.
Just stay on this slide, please. I just have a few comments. In late 2019, Marty O'Shea negotiated a 3-year contract for the year 2020 through 2022. That contract has expired. Last year, we approved a 1-year contract for 2023. Beach Fleischman has made a 1-year proposal for audit tax services for 2024. Due to staffing uncertainties in the accounting profession, they will not make a 3-year proposal anymore. I have discussed our auditors with management and the finance committee. Everyone has had a positive comment. Beach Fleischman meets with the finance committee in April. We get to ask them questions without management present. As you know, I'm not shy about asking questions. My personal opinion is Beach Fleischman has answered all of our questions and has provided excellent advice. The Finance Committee has reviewed the proposal and unanimously voted to recommend we engage them for 2024. Next slide. I move to approve Beach Fleischman PS as the auditors of the 2024 financial statements.
Thank you, Don. Any board discussion on this? Any resident discussion?
I looked at the Finance Committee minutes, and the last ones are draft of July 23rd. So when was this discussed, and why aren't there any minutes on the website? How much are we paying these people? What's their increase from the prior year? According to our procurement policy, we have to have 3 bids, even for professional contracts. So why are not going out and looking for other auditors, including ones that audit the Troon HOAs or the Invite HOAs, which are doing a lot more business? Are they available? Will they come down from Phoenix for not that much more money? It just appears, in my experience in business, is you change auditors after every few years. I've got a management letter from Beach Fleischman back in 2003 when they said we should outsource our food and beverage or close it down. How many years out of the 25 have they been audited? And why aren't we changing? I don't really hear a good reason why we're not trying some other auditors. Thank you.
I'm supposed to put my microphone on. Okay, all in favor of the motion? Aye. Any opposed? Motion carries unanimously. Okay. Well, we've come to that point in our meeting where we take resident comments and questions of a general nature. You can ask us anything regarding the HOA. So just come to the microphone and you can state your first and last name and your lot and unit number, and please come forward. Yes. Yes. Yes.
Hi, I'm Julie Adaman. I'm Unit 6, and I have no idea where my lot number is, so sorry. I know. Well, thank you. Thank you. First of all, I've been in this industry, HOA management, for 36 years, and I want to commend this board and your staff. These are such informative and well-run meetings. I really want to say that. And next, I'm actually here on behalf of Community Associations Institute, Arizona chapter, which several of you belong to. Yay! Well, they would like to invite any one of the Saddlebrook board members to join their board starting beginning of 2025. They asked me specifically to ask you, so would you consider that? It's a 3-year term. You only have to show up once a year, then it's all Zoom, so it's just in January. I would do it, but I already sit on 2 of their committees. I sit on the swim board, and I may end up sitting on this board, so we'll see. But that's all I'm here for. You guys do a great job. You have no idea how good you are. Really good.
Good afternoon, Board. Thank you for the opportunity to speak. Douglas Wolf, Unit 1, Lot 128, the Heritage District of Saddlebrook. First of all, I'd like to thank, I believe, that the health, is it the health and wellness or fitness, and I can never get the...
Creative Health and Wellness.
Has approved putting a TV on the tennis patio, which I've been asked for only 5 years, so it's not too bad, but thank you, that's finally got approved. I think it'll be well used. I don't know if the HOA has gotten complaints, maybe Vivian knows, about the new crossing light up on Saddlebrook Boulevard that the county just installed. Well, I guess there's a petition going around. People are upset about how bright it is and what they're going on. Just to let you know, it came through me because I happen to live here and I work somewhat for the very flexible Pinal County, let me tell you. Who'd ask about that? We're all into yoga up there, let me tell you. So if it comes to your attention, the road people are looking at it and seeing if they should change out that crossing light. People are complaining it's too bright and so forth. Last thing I'd urge the board and the communications people to put out as much as they can about the voter van that'll be down in Mountain View on the 24th. If it's there from 9 to 1. And the reason I bring it up because the Postal Service just announced today that about 5% of early ballots don't arrive on time or get back to the counties on time. That's the Postal Service. That's not me saying it. So 5% possibly do not get counted. In elections, that can be very close. And all our residents want to have a happy outcome of elections, no problems. So it would be good for the board to get it out there as much as we can, that people go drop their vote. It's the county van, so it's secure and it's done by the county. So thank you for that.
Is that a campaign speech?
When he's done, I got this.
Harry Ford, Unit 21, Lot 2, 51 years in HOAs. Thank you for your service, volunteer service. I did it for many years. In my opinion, Saddlebrook 1 has the worst curb appeal of any of our major competitors. I sent in this picture that I reported over 4.5 years, and it's still not fixed. This is just the tip of the iceberg. If you look at my Relive video I showed you. So what's the impact? Other HOAs, like Stone Canyon, have much better enforcement and higher fees. Why aren't we looking at that to improve our property values? Our property values since 2022 are down 102 million, or about 50,000 per home, whereas other HOAs like Highlands at Dove Mountain are up 218 million. What's the plan in 2025 to increase our property values per the mission that we have? I see a lot of things that we don't have. We don't have a common area master plan. We don't have a facilities master plan. And we don't have a flood and fire mitigation plan as people's insurance policies are being canceled. Hopefully that will move ahead and there'll be some money in the 2025 and 26 budget. From my standpoint, one of the most important things is improving the security of Saddlebrook. My HOAs in California all had 24-hour security, much lower crime, much better attitude of the people as far as enforcing the rules and regulations.
Okay, we'll have to stop there, Mr. Ford. Thank you very much for your comments. Okay, I think before we close, Joe has requested to say something.
Yes, I've been asked to ask these two questions, and I think I'll have to have the staff answer both. Number one is, will the woodworking facility be able to accommodate any activities of other types of groups? For example, the billiards facility has room for card games, etc.
Until we get down to final planning on the wood shop, we won't be able to answer that.
Number two, I noticed on the Roadrunner Grill TV that a couple of gentlemen who were long-time kitchen staff are retiring. Remembering how difficult it was last season to keep all the dining venues open on a regular basis because of staff shortages, do we have replacements for those gentlemen yet?
Yeah, they were hired. One was hired 2 months ago and the other one within the last month.
Is that it, Janet? Okay, thank you.
Well, again, I want to thank everyone that came for their participation in this meeting, and I want to thank them for their time and commitment. And I think I must tell you, I'm just in awe of all the presentations that we had today, and I'm extremely grateful to our staff. So with that, I'm going to adjourn our meeting.